Hi, my name's Chloe Hillhouse, and today I'm going to be talking about the movie The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. I have my laptop open with some notes, so if I look to the side, that's why. I just want to say thank you for the class. It was a great class. I learned a lot. I feel a lot more educated in this topic. And the reason why I decided to watch this movie is because it had a lot of generational trauma and a sort of centricity around Jewish people. I picked this movie because it has always deeply sat with me since the first time I watched it and has made me think even more about the lives behind Jewish and German people during the war, like before, after, during, all of it. While it isn't about Afrocentricity, I thought the movie related with a lot of what we had learned in class. So first I'm going to talk a lot about what I saw in the movie, starting with the beginning of the movie. We're introduced to a very wealthy German family, which includes one of the main characters, Bruno. He's a little 8-year-old boy, very typical German kid. We see Bruno and his friends running around and playing in Berlin, while happening behind them we see Nazi soldiers forcing Jewish people out of their houses and into cars to take them into camps, and these boys are just completely oblivious to what's happening around them. We also find out that his father is one of the Nazi soldiers and has just gotten a promotion, which leads to them having a party at their house to have a celebration, which is very sad to see because in a time of darkness, there are people celebrating the promotion of a German Nazi soldier. We also see the boy's grandmother, who is the dad's mom, the Nazi soldier's mom. She makes a comment asking if his uniform makes him proud because when he was younger, he used to play dress up in uniforms, pretending to be in the military, which is implying that she's not proud of what he's doing. He also tries to mention to her that she shouldn't be making these kinds of comments at the party because there are very powerful people that can do things that probably wouldn't be very happy towards her. Bruno's father informs all of the family that he will be moving. They will all be moving because of the new promotion that he got. And Bruno is very sad that he has to leave his friends and his house behind, which is kind of ironic. I think that was very purposely put into the movie because obviously a lot of Jewish people had to leave their families, homes, friends, everything behind. And he's sad that he has to move because of his father's job. At this new house, Bruno is able to see one of the concentration camps from his window, but he thinks that it's a farm. He sees them working. He doesn't really see any of the soldiers coming and attacking these people while he's looking out of his window. He mentions this to his parents and how he saw kids on the farm, and he wants to go play with them because obviously he doesn't have any friends at his new house. And he mentioned that they seem kind of strange, which his mother kind of puts off in the beginning because she isn't really sure what he's talking about because the father had told her that they would be miles away from the concentration camp. They wouldn't be anywhere close. But when she does realize that it is one of the concentration camps, he's sat down by both his mom and his dad, that it is a farm, and that he probably shouldn't go play with the kids because he thought they seemed strange. They ended up boarding up his window in the next scene because they wanted to protect him from seeing what was going to be happening over there. In another sense of protecting their kids, Bruno and his sister weren't allowed to explore in their back garden. They were only allowed in the front of their house where their parents could see them, because if they did go into the back garden, they could go out into the forest and possibly reach the concentration camp. They also weren't allowed to go to school. They don't really go into much detail about why they couldn't go to school, but I'm just guessing it's because there wasn't one near them. They were in the back of nowhere, like it was very rural where they were, so they brought in a tutor. His dad had hired the tutor, which you can only imagine what that led to. One of the Jewish prisoners that helped within the house helps out Bruno make a swing out of a tire, because obviously Bruno is very bored, doesn't have much to do there, and he ends up falling off of the swing after seeing smoke coming from the concentration camp. He hurts himself, obviously, and the Jewish man rushes over and helps him out and helps him bandage his knee. And Bruno learns that he was a doctor once, but he doesn't really believe him because he sees that he's working on a farm, and he mentioned that he had his own practice, and he was just uncertain about the fact that he was actually a doctor. And after that scene, his mother rushes into the kitchen. Obviously, she seems very concerned because the Jewish man is sitting there peeling some potatoes, and Bruno's still sitting on the counter with his knee all bandaged up, talking to him. And Bruno explains what happened and how he helped him and how he was a doctor. And she immediately sends him up to his room so he doesn't have to talk to him anymore. And she actually is very hesitant, but she ends up thanking the Jewish prisoner. After this, Bruno finally finds a chance to explore the forest behind his house, which leads him to the fence of the camp. This is where he finally meets the boy in the striped pajamas. His name is a little hard to pronounce. I believe it's Shmuel. They talk about their different point of views to each other, how Bruno lives in a boring house with his parents and his sister, and how Shmuel is working on a farm, so what he believes. He realizes he's very hungry, he doesn't have friends here, he doesn't play games. He originally thinks that the numbers on their shirts are a part of a big game that they play, but we know that's not true. He's just very innocent about everything that's happening. Obviously, he's 8 years old. They're both 8 years old. He doesn't understand much of what's happening. Eventually, because of the tutor that came in through his father is obviously under the rule of Nazi soldiers, so he teaches them a lot about history, about current history, and what's good and what's bad. So his sister feels that she should probably grow up. She's only 12 years old. She starts putting up Nazi posters in her room, and her mom seems very concerned about the fact that she has these posters all up in her room now. She doesn't know exactly what's being taught to her kids either. And eventually she starts to find out what's happening to the Jewish people and how her husband is a part of that because he's a soldier. She sees the smoke, the same smoke that Bruno saw, and she mentions how it smells horrid. And one of the other soldiers that was at their house at one point says, "They smell even worse when they burn, don't they?" And then she started gluing the pieces together that they're actually killing these people, and that it's not a good situation, especially for their kids to be around. Bruno's sister ends up sitting him down and explains why the Jewish people are bad and evil and why they should be against them. However, Bruno, he seems a little skeptical about the entire thing. So he's just very young, very innocent. It's kind of sad to see this. And then we also see the Jewish doctor, the guy that was peeling the potatoes and helped Bruno. He got brutally beaten during a dinner that they were having for spilling a little bit of wine. Obviously, he's very malnourished, fatigued. He doesn't have the energy to even hold a bottle of wine, so he ends up spilling it. A little after this, Bruno is kind of peeping on what's going on. He's very curious. He considers himself an adventurer. He sees one of the films that the soldiers are watching at his house. And it's the complete opposite of what's happening inside of the camps. I believe it was made for the soldiers to have a laugh at, but he took it seriously and believed that was actually happening inside of the camps. So he thinks Shmuel is lying to him about what's going on. Shmuel was brought into the house to help clean, and he was giving him food. One of the soldiers walked in on him eating the food and took him out of the house and was beaten because Bruno lied about knowing him and being his friend. He didn't see him for a couple of days after that, and when he does, his face is very, very beaten. The mother is becoming visibly more distressed throughout the film. After learning what her husband is doing and what her kids are learning, she's just not too happy about it, as many people would be. They discuss about moving away again because the mother is having a say in it, and the father was finally like, okay, even the kids can move away. We'll have a plan about it. Bruno's not happy about this. He goes to Shmuel and he talks to him and says, we can't have this happen. Like, we're not gonna be friends anymore. And Shmuel told Bruno how his father is missing. So they end up making a plan for Bruno to come inside the camp and help find Shmuel's dad. He snuck into the camp while his entire family is searching for him back home. They were supposed to move out that day and they couldn't find him. And on that unfortunate day, Bruno and Shmuel are unfortunately put into the gas chamber. And that is their very unfortunate ending. Throughout this film, we're shown all different points of views, from the innocent mind of Bruno to the unfortunate situation that Shmuel was in. I think it's important to see how much Bruno changed throughout the film, from not having a single care in the world to helping someone who he's supposed to be against. It was very sad to see that Bruno did not understand why Shmuel was stuck in the camp, and that when he tried to help him, he ended up dying. A generational trauma is shown throughout both families. In Bruno's family, you see his mother discover what is actually happening to Jewish people, how her kids are being taught that they're evil and they should be taken care of, and her son ends up dying at one of the camps in the end, which I'm sure had a huge effect on both his sister and his father. With Bruno, obviously he's witnessing something at such a young age that would have forever impacted him if he were to have survived, especially with his father being a part of it. Shmuel had the worst of it with being a Jewish person. He was forced into a concentration camp along with millions of others. He ended up losing his entire family, being forced to work, and was beaten and was killed in the end. I'm very glad that throughout this movie we were able to see both sides. However, the main focus was very much on the mistreatment of the Jewish people during the war. And I'm just overall glad that I had the opportunity to rewatch this movie with the knowledge and the information that I have learned from this class. Thank you.